Alright. We're back. Don't know what happened there, but something happened. Oh, that wasn't nice, but this goes very, very hard. I know. That was pretty bad. I don't know what happened there. That wasn't good. I only had king high. Got distracted. This guy's pretty aggressive, so we are going to put the 3-bet call in here. Folding an awful lot, so that's where our profit comes from, but probably not folding once we... That's why I made it that big, really. Just to make myself cool. To take away any kind of rebluff, though. I could probably just make it smaller anyway. Don't know. Alright, you had it. Well played. Got pocket freeze. I hope I get the chance to get it in. So it's gone downhill somewhat from that light open, and the guy jammed on us. Called the big blind and then jammed. Well played. He has a lot of ace-X, that's the problem. As well as the pairs, because he's quite fishy. I don't know. Guess I should probably never fold there to be unexploitable. But I was exploitable. I think here this isn't so bad. It's quite tight, but I think we're going to flip a lot, and we need to double up. At least you see an ace-10 here. It's okay. So we're in the draw. Oh dear, that's not okay. We just need a free. We're gone. It's gone badly. We've been hurt. Very sad news. I know you're sad at home. We're all a bit sad about that. 40 out of 122 though, we've still got a chance in this. Should be a nice amount up top. It's made the 10k, we've got 2k up top basically there. It's worth going for. So we're not going to get too downhearted, and we'll just use it as a chance to do a bit of scoping. I'm going to open this. I'm going to call Psyche's rejam probably, even though it's quite tight. Probably going to call Go Fighters rejam as well. Big blind's pretty loose as well. So these guys cover me is a slightly different story. Got 30 big blind rejam here, I'd have to fold. Be pretty sad. Just make it cool. Quite a wide range, so I think we'll just check that. We have the king of spades, which is nice. King high could be good here. Checks again, so happy to see showdown. King high can be good a lot. We can have spiked the 7 on the river. Doesn't make a bet. I'm inclined to call here because gross, isn't it? Do you know what, I think I am going to call. It's very light, but we can be ahead here. We are ahead. He has Jack 9. Oh, so we kind of induced that. King high felt pretty good there. You can have a lot of 10x, Jack X, you know, all these kind of X's that we talk of. So that was fun. We made a light call and we were good. That's what we like to see. So look, does that look good? That's pretty good, isn't it, guys? It looks nice. So 42 out of 117, 72 paid. It's a nice little tournament. We want to go deep in this really. It would be fun. I haven't gone deep in a challenge for a little while. It would be nice. So let's start scoping the table a bit more. Bidden off. Guys, I think he's bidden off more than he can chew. That's when he's playing against me. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Good stuff. Seems pretty bad. Ability 73, so maybe his sort of bad aggression or whatever he does has worked against some people. I feel sorry for those people. Probably her. Oh, 1.7. We don't want to become those people. That's the key. That's good. Runner. He's going to do a runner with everyone's money. Going to go deep down south. South with his mouth. Pretty solid. So right now there's a 2-day window between 5 PM Wednesday, Monday to 5 PM Wednesday. People can vote, register to vote for Jeremy Corbyn. It's going to cost them £25. But what are you getting for your vote? You're getting the chance to rid a major party of its corrupt elements via the process of deselection, which has already been agreed by the Union Unite and will be agreed by more. The chance for constituencies, if they're not happy with how they're being represented by their MP, to get rid of them and to put someone else more appropriate in their place that will respect the new change that's happening, the new return to principles, the idea of taking back things in public ownership and giving people a better price, working for the greater good, not allowing the average person to be exploited by all these idiots. Can you imagine how that will feel to be at a general election with a major party harnessing the left, making it a real possibility that we can have caring and progressive government that will work for everyone and will hold big business to account in this country. Go fights are quite a high fold to see that, so it makes me want to bet here. So we're betting into 2, and if we can get one to fold, we can get the other to fold. This guy's pretty aggressive. I'd hate it if he just piled it in on us here. Probably just have to fold. cool. Do I just jam it in here? I think I do. Not that happy about this. Obviously not getting him to fold a lot, but I think he floats a decent amount here. It's pretty strong. But he had the absolute nuts, so we just gave it away there. Well played. Oh, this is so perfectly set up. I guess it's not a very good turn card to barrel. Ugh. Pretty unhappy about that. But what can we do? Let's just scope and forget our troubles. It's the only way we can move on with our lives. It's hard to get the fold on the turn. It's just seems very sticky. Pretty bad. I'm the worst, guys. I think that was pretty bad. I'm not very happy about that. Oh, take that. We've still got a stack, so as long as we don't collapse mentally, which is always a possibility, we're gonna live to fight another day. I'm gonna rebuy, so we definitely want to keep betting on a board like this. Sharp scope locked. If we know anything about this guy either. It's another bad sign. What a chump I am. Took my chump money. He laughed in my face. We can just keep it going though. We're still deep. We've still got 14 big blinds and we can get ourselves a quick double up and we're away again. And this guy doesn't really raise a lot. Probably got a stronger hand. Still just getting it in. He folds. Very nice. I think despite what the media have told us, they're piling in people's heads that, you know, Jeremy Corbyn isn't a leader and all these kind of things, and they haven't reported the real issues. They haven't really spoken about the fact that all of the grassroots members, who are the people that, remember, pay for the party, and all of the unions who pay for the party, minus just a few individual wealthy donors, who are the people you don't really want as much, because then they can start to leverage power, because they're just one person with their own business interests, and they're hardly going to keep giving you money if you start to really tackle them. It's an absurd notion. What we really want is as many kind of grassroots movements as possible, because then people we want the people in power to be kind of full of that energy for helping ordinary people. I'm sure a lot of them are, but I think a lot of them turn a blind eye to the bits they don't agree with, maybe, or maybe they secretly do, but they're not sure why they agree with them. Tight play makes quite a big open. We're just wanting to gamble, I think, aren't we? So it's just cool though, because then we can let other people, and you know, we're just going to gamble. We're obviously behind at this point. There's a good chance we're decently behind, but I think we just want to gamble just in case this guy has ace king. This guy has ace queen or something like that. Yeah, let's see. Oh, almost. And we just need absolutely nothing, guys. So we kind of were aware we were behind, but we're happy to gamble. It didn't work out for us. That's a shame. And even worse than that, we've been left with this little piddly amount, which will mean we can't even get a nice juicy 6k stack straight away. 14 big blinds. Our image is a little bit bad now, so we're just going to fold. Just let the residue of what happened wash over the table a bit, and we'll be back. Oh wow, so that's a shame. Definitely a reasonable open. Been punished there. No, the problem is if I open, I'm not prepared to call rejam from Go Fighter. If he had a decent hand, he's probably just going to open here, but he'd rejam over my open. So my celebration, my cause for celebration, because I'm not going to call there, then and he rejams, you know, king queen or whatever. That's not good for me. If I am going to call, then it's not so bad, but it's obviously quite thin then, because he's going to rejam a lot better aces. Annoying, because in parallel universe where I don't bluff and I have 14k, that's more of an open. It's my stack size as well. The parallel universe, I've got like 40k now, guys, you know. It's not this universe. But what this universe can do is still maximise the future. So what's coming up? We'll play these. Some kind of creature on my leg, guys. Didn't feel good. That's truth. Truth for you guys. Tempted to put this in today, actually. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll play this today. They've been quite reggy and quite small recently, so I've just not really bothered. I haven't done well enough in them. It feels like it just munches your bankroll, you know. A couple of these extra 100 or so. So we're going to play it though. Doing quite well recently. Want to keep that going. So if you're in the UK, you know, register for Labour, but pay the £25, and you can tell your children in the future that, hey, I paid my £25 and I changed the future of British politics forever. I was the man that allowed an honest man to become leader, that started the disarmament of nuclear weapons. You know, put the pride back in the tough situation for the most vulnerable in our society. That's what we want. And you do see the power of a left government, guys, if you look at just the way that the tectonic plates shift. Alright, so he's ISO, well played. Good ISO, look at that. He's done a good job there. Interesting. Okay, he's playing pretty well, this guy. I like the cut of his jib, I've got to say. Oh, I think I would be, you know, King High is looking better thinking about that. You know, that he did it quite wide. They definitely do that with like then the Jack 10, the Jack 8, the Jack 9, 8-9 suited maybe. There's going to be a wide ISO there. Why so ISO? Because what you're voting for isn't just Jeremy Corbyn, it's to purify a party, and you're going to basically be cutting out the kind of the the kind of rotten, rancid, you know, things that are grown, and letting these new virginal shoots kind of shoot through, and you're going to get a revolution in terms of principles, standing up for the right thing. And then what that will do is that straight away, by having someone who's principled as an opposition, you start to be able to effectively counter the narrative of the government, because if your stance is very similar to theirs, there's not much of a difference, then it's hard to really get stuck into opposition, because you can be like, well, yeah, I'd do that. I'd cut with, you're cutting it by £10, we cut it by 6. It's that kind of, that's what it really needs to be, is you're cutting it, you know, we would raise it because these people haven't got enough. They're pointing out the obvious, and that's the real difference. And when you do that, when you have that contrast, then it starts to pull the governing party towards the opposition, towards the left, because if you have a party this far to the left, the natural thing is for them to cozy towards the left. If they were to go right and get more extreme in the right, towards the right, then the left would have a much better chance in many ways, because obviously elections are won potentially in the middle. You know, someone like Clinton, the third way, or Tony Blair in the third way. But what we really need now, because I think the seeds have changed, and the reason why that isn't the case anymore is because when Labour try and do middle ground, it just sounds weak and tepid. And if people want, you know, austerity or spending cuts as a philosophy, then they're going to get the proper guys to do it. It's going to be the Tories. They're the ones that do that. Labour try and just do a slightly nicer version of that. It's not going to cut the mustard. You know, you can't just concede the ideological ground, you know, and just let people, you know, say that this is the only way. This is the mistake that Neil Kinnock made in the 80s, when he kept going further and further towards the Conservatives, you know. So suddenly, from a man who believed in nuclear disarmament, he suddenly then believed in, you know, having nuclear weapons, and somewhere down the line probably all getting rid of them together. That seems to be the kind of soft middle ground position. People have, you know, connected to someone like Farage, for instance. Like Nigel Farage, here we go. Gonna have a lovely pint. My wife's a German, no one minds. And people connect with Nigel Farage because he sounds like an ordinary guy. I'm down the pub, even though he's privately educated, and the UKIP are funded by like the guy that owns the Daily Mail or something, like just one main funder. And so if he doesn't like what's happening, then he can just end the party essentially. As like you know, some of the Labour Party, when it has lots of people contributing and trade unions contributing, then that is how you that's slightly different, because you're representing such a wide base of people. Then, like, you know, all the unions are just all the people that are in jobs. You know, all the firefighters, all the police. You know, all the I don't know if the police have unions anymore. I don't know, but I know that the, you know, the firefighters and the NHS and the student nurses and all these people. Sorry if I just got my eye. Don't you hate it when you get something in your eye? Don't you hate it when that happens? So we've got... Alright, well I freaked out there because I could see a tip of the game. I thought there was a hidden game. So we just opened and we took it down. Top there, that's fine. So in this one, 78 out of 89, 72 paid. You know, we want to go deep in this. We've messed up a little bit, and we're just waiting for redemption. Maybe it never comes, guys. Maybe there's only more pain ahead, but we have to try. We really do. So with the Labour Party, you're not just getting Jeremy Corbyn, whether you think he's a great speaker or not. He's not necessarily, you know, he's not Martin Luther King, you know, or even Barack Obama in terms of his oratory skills, but the content of his message is very strong and very authentic, and he believes in the things he's believed for a long time, and he's voted that way as well. He votes in the way that he believes, and that is how you kind of want someone to govern, with a solid foundation of principles that you can kind of agree with, because ultimately those principles are passionately pro helping vulnerable people and voting against any kind of cuts to vulnerable people, passionately, you know, for unions and making sure people's workers' rights are strengthened and their ability to all work together as a cohesive unit against the might of corporations to get a decent deal for themselves is absolutely fundamental, especially when you look at developing countries and they don't have unions, or certainly not effective unions or unions at all in a lot of these countries. And there's no coincidence that countries that don't have unions on average have much worse workers' rights, because the people have power too. And you've got to allow a situation where, yes, you can have a business and make millions, but maybe you can't make billions anymore. You know, maybe you can't make hundreds of millions. Maybe there's a certain amount that it gets a bit silly. And once you get to that ridiculous amount, then maybe you pay 70% tax on that or something like that, and we get that money back, and that money goes into helping the very poorest in society. Or you could even do a thing where that money is like compulsory philanthropy, and they can use that to set up their own things that help areas that they want to do themselves and make themselves look amazing. You know, make themselves look, you know, look great, and that's fine. So they can have that. You know, we need to incentivize companies so that they're incentivized to be known to pay their tax. A bit like if you go into a kebab shop, you can see the hygiene standard, and it gets 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. We need an independent situation where companies are publicly rated, and they have to display this rating, a star rating of how ethical they are, how much tax they pay, you know, how ethical they are globally, you know, and like publicly display whether they get what amount of stars they get. So someone like Starbucks, who doesn't pay proper taxes, they would have a very low rating for that. Then people maybe would choose to go elsewhere. So you can incentivize businesses to the point where, that's why we have to avoid things like TTIP, because something like TTIP will only make this situation worse, because what you are then is you're empowering the corporations so they're able to then sue individual sovereign nations if they were to infringe against their profit making, is what I'm trying to say there, guys. Infringe against the profit making situation, and we need to stand up and make sure that our democracies are empowered enough. Because one thing, we do have a parliamentary democracy, and we've seen with the referendum that even though people didn't want us to leave, we left. Clearly it wasn't rigged, it worked, and that is something to be celebrated. That is a beautiful thing, guys. So that is kind of giving me hope that, you know, the elite aren't just gonna just rig it, you know, like they did with Bush and Al Gore, was it? You know, John Kerry or whatever it was, wasn't it? Bush and Kerry, when it was like really close in that last bit in California. Governor of, if it was California, Florida maybe, I think it was Florida, you know, he was actually Jed Bush or whatever at the time, and all these kind of things, and Bush got through, and it turned out there were loads of votes that were missing, and this kind of thing. It makes you think, God, this whole thing is rigged, you know. And even in America, though, with this situation, the two parties are so close together, you don't really get a true choice. You don't have you would imagine having an American president was like, we're gonna disarm, guys, we're gonna have nuclear disarmament. That would be insane, okay? And it wouldn't necessarily be great for the planet, because there obviously is, from a selfish level, being British, that kind of you want America to be strong, because they are, you know, more liberal than something like, if you know, Saudi Arabia or a Chinese democracy was the overly powerful one, then the world would be you know, even worse still. And obviously we can't turn a blind eye because we are, you know, on the right end of this stuff, but at the same time we kind of do a little bit, and that's fine and kind of understandable. But we want to at least, you know, we can't necessarily tell other countries what to do, but we can definitely look at how we treat countries and who we sell. You know, if we're making weapons, why are we making them? Who are we selling them to? Can't we just make them for ourselves, or make them, you know, and if we have to sell them, make sure they're sold ethically and not being sold into. There's no real ethical selling of arms, though, is there, guys? That's the problem. But look at something like America. The American industrial complex or whatever, the military machine making. You know, that is where all the money is at, my friends. That is the whole reason why we have so many wars, is because there's a shitload of money right there for the taking. Oh, okay. We're getting a pretty tasty. And again, it's tantalising, isn't it? Imagine if there was another spade instead of a club. It would be so much better. I don't know, we could just jam there, but it feels a bit light, doesn't it? Oh, I wish I had now. I don't have enough to really scare him off. If he bets, then he's probably committed, isn't he? Oh, sad. I feel sad about that. Okay, I missed. I feel better. So here, I'm kind of happy to let him have this and just rebuying. I'm not too unhappy with that. So you can bluff me. If I win this pot, then I'm gonna have 4.8, and if I lose it, I'll have 6. Well, this is a pretty interesting hand. I think I'm gonna fold. I don't know what the hell to do. I think a re-raise on re-raise is, what is it going to be at worst, a draw, flush draw. Why would he min re-raise a flush draw? Just cool, wouldn't he? So he's repping like a set of 4s, a set of 2s, or an overpair, and I only have 9s. So unless he's got the other 9s, then he's repping it stronger. Can't really think of what he's doing as a bluff there. It doesn't really feel like a bluff. Blind against blind here. I think I would automatically just jam because I'm endangering this guy. That's probably a good enough reason just to jam. He snap calls me. And he's not worried about being an endangered species. But there it is! There's a 3! Oh yeah. Oh boy. That's woke me up. Yes. Yes. Yes, we can. We're back. Back. Did you feel my power, baby? You feel my power? Woo! Oh, I just want to hurt him. Let me throw something at him. Let me just tank on my button until I've thrown this thing at him. Let me throw the thing. They're stopping me throwing. What is this? Why can't I throw, guys? It's like freaking out. Like I thought I might have had a throw ban. Like they've reviewed some of my throws and they've been like, that's a bit harsh. I like it when people threaten to like kill you and stuff on okay, I'm gonna raise value. I don't feel like folding that much to these guys in the blinds. Kind of raising for value, I think. Here. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how we feel about it. I mean, the big blind, you can make an argument he's actually being pretty tight, so that changes it slightly. But okay, flats. That's fine. That's fine. Very interesting. I just feel like if I c-bet here, it's a great spot for him to put me in a tough situation near the bubble. So I'm going to check behind. We do have a lot of outs. It's a great turn now because that gives me a bit of showdown. He definitely can have some queen X, but there's no reason to believe it yet. When he checks twice, he doesn't have a queen X. I'm going to try and get some value now. You can call a lot of draws. I mean, King Jack flush draws, 2 flush draws out there. Jack 9, other stuff. So you did have King Jack. Obviously he's got straight now, and he would probably want to bet because I'm going to check behind a lot on this card. So when he checks, I don't think he's very strong. Try and get some value, but it's not easy here. It'd be pretty gross if he was to check raise river straight. I feel like he'd always try and lead for value because I've got like a pot size, you know, bet behind, and there's every chance that I wouldn't bet this river. So yeah, he didn't have anything. That was good. I had a good read on it. I tried to bet as much as I could for value that looked like a big enough bet to try and get a bit of fold equity, yet small enough to, you know, tempt him in a little bit and give him some pot odds. Tried. So we are right back in this, as we promised. We're back. We're higher than that now, surely. Come on, guys, be honest with me. I'm not going to be honest. It's fine. Viva la revolution, guys. Peaceful, intelligent revolution. That's all we need, a revolution of ideas. Someone like Jeremy Corbyn is merely the lightning rod. He's the conduit. You know, not the Carlos conduit, the conduit, you know, he's the light force, you know, the ideas flood through him, he listens and he decides, and they fit with his principles, they go in, you know, this is how we're doing it. Cause you do it like that, spinning around, move out of my way. Oh, tempting. I think this guy's been a bit shorter and a bit wilder. Puts me off a little bit. Probably shouldn't. We just want a peaceful... Is that so much to ask, guys? A peaceful revolution? Not too much to ask for. I think in a country like this we're pretty civilised and we can do that. You do have a lot of dividing lines. Love to see, just to see sort of that kind of socialist improvement. That's what we want to see. Something like the NHS, perfect example of socialism working. You know, everyone puts in, everyone gets out. And privatisation is merely, you know, clearly there are certain elements of competitiveness that create a need for results that incentivise a sort of higher standard of everything, you know, and maybe being able to offer more competitive, you know, stroke larger salaries to some great minds or whatever it is. I'm going to free bet. This guy opens an awful lot and folds to free bets a lot, so we're going to play it as a free bet, fold quite a lot, I think it works an awful lot, and when we get flatted, I'm not going to attempt to gamble on that, but I think that's getting a bit foolhardy now. There we go, so we get that through. Just folding a lot and he's opening a lot, so we'll try and exploit that a bit. Obviously, if anyone acts behind us, they're probably going to be very strong, because we look strong, under the gun open, under the gun one, free bet. He could well have folded like King Queen there, you know, but he could have easily had just like Ace 5 or, you know, Jack 10 off. He'll have a few different hands, I think. It's pretty wide. If you look at this table, it's probably even wider here. 25, 25, and his opening positions 38% from EP, and if you look at 17% from the button, so it's actually opened from early position a hell of a lot. A lot more than other positions actually, so we really have to, you know, think about getting all those free bets in. I don't want to just have no equity, because obviously if he's opening an early position, I'm also going to be in an early position. There's going to be good act as well. So got to have some equity when called or things like that. We can't just do it with anything. Some blockers are good, that kind of stuff. Try and isolate his limp. Pretty aggressive player doing Olympia. We are just going to c-bet, go ahead. We've got the backdoor spades, 2 overcards, backdoor straight draw. This guy folds 67% on the flop, so pretty honest. There's quite a lot of floats he has on this board. But why not start with that? Because if he doesn't have this kind of axis of spectrum of hands, then why you have to fold into either one. So he just call. That's one of the best turn cards that we could hope for. Interesting that I do feel like I want to check back here just to avoid getting jammed on, so I can do either do a rejam or a check call depending on what he does. I think I really like a check raise here. So we are going to go, it's quite an aggressive line, but I think we're going to go for it. We've got a lot of outs, and there's one of them. Good game, sir. Okay, so on the flop he had a gutter and an over, so he kind of hit nuts on the turn for him. That's why I didn't want to bet there, because if I bet he jams, and I'll probably get it in anyway, but I think that if we do it that way round, then we get the fold equity to go with our hand, because our hand itself, you know, isn't there yet. But if we create some fold equity with it by allowing him to bet fold sometimes, and bet cool with worse sometimes as well, with some other draws that he may feel committed to. We've got one of the best draws there. This guy's going to play back at us an awful lot. I'm almost tempted just to jam. But 24 bucks, probably a bit much, isn't it? Gross spot. I don't really want to raise cool. I don't really want to fold. Right, so I might just jam. Is that bad? I don't want to fold. I guess I can count myself a bit unlucky to have a cool hand here. 20 big blinds. We've got an ace blocker. This doesn't look very strong, does it, what I've done? Wow. No, we got called out there, guys. Ugh. Yeah, that's pretty horrendous. Maybe that wasn't good. I think I'm a bit unlucky that he has ace-9 blind against blind when I have ace-4, and he tank called, so it wasn't a snap decision for him. So I don't know, you guys. You tell me what you think there. Slightly like, but the problem is that I'm just raised. He's folding so much when he rejams, and he just needs to rejam really wide against me because I have my call on the bubble. So maybe I'm overstating that. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Okay. It's kind of disappointing. I guess disappointing. Okay, got the limpo. We're in the rebuy scenario, so we've just got a rejam in 20 big blinds. He may call ace-9 though, because that is in his. He has to really call, because I think when I do that, the bad thing about that is that I guess if I had aces or something, I'm not just going to jam 24 big blinds and then open it. So I do cap my range a bit there as well. So you can take out the top few percent, but I mean probably can't take out ace-jack. Ace-10, those kind of hands, but take out the rest.